Yellow Jacket Season 3's wilderness trial keeps a very dark Coach Scott theory alive. Coach Ben Scott has officially reunited with the others in Yellow Jackets Season 3. But his fate in 12 Angry Girls and 1 Drunk Travis is making a grim theory look more likely. Yellow Jackets Season 3, Episode 4, features the young survivors having a trial to decide whether their coach is guilty of attempted murder. Technically, the group is trying to decide if Ben tried to burn down the cabin in Yellow Jackets. Though the show has provided enough evidence to prove that Ben wasn't the culprit, many survivors have already convinced themselves that he's a villain in their survival story. During Shauna, Van, and Akila's hallucination in Yellow Jackets Season 3, Coach Scott was the one who helped save them, revealing that the cave was full of poisonous gas. Seeing as Mary revealed Ben's location and stated how she was being held hostage, the group was practically hunting him down. Even if Ben had any warning, he probably wouldn't have been able to find another shelter, so his capture was bound to happen sooner than later. Granted, he probably didn't expect to be the center of an intense trial, increasing the likelihood of a gruesome theory involving his fate. Shortly after Coach Scott is taken to the survivors' new camp, the group decides that the only way to fairly determine his fate is to have a trial. With Natalie as the judge, due to her antler queen status, Taysa leads the prosecution with Misty serving as Ben's defense. Though initially reluctant to defend him, Misty realizes that Ben likely wasn't the one who burned down the cabin. Unfortunately, the other girls in Travis aren't as easy to convince, even though Ben shares his side of the story, claiming he would never do anything to harm the group. Still, the votes don't go in his favor. Natalie determines that there needs to be a 2/3 majority in votes to determine the verdict. It's not until Shauna pleads her case that she essentially threatens others to consider Coach Scott guilty of attempted murder. It seems like his testimony is truthful, admitting he was afraid of the group and regretted leaving them in a time of need. However, after Travis, Lottie, and a few others are swayed by Shauna, and possibly it, Natalie has no choice but to declare Ben guilty. Despite the mock trial theatrics, the verdict will have serious repercussions for Ben's future in Yellow Jackets. After declaring Coach Scott guilty of attempted murder, Natalie tearfully has Van take their prisoner back to the pen where he was previously tied up. Misty is also upset at the verdict, but Nat is taking it extra hard, considering she tried to help Coach Scott by keeping his whereabouts hidden from the others. The secret may have come back to bite her when it's uncovered during the trial, but deep down, she knows their coach wouldn't have tried to kill them. Now, the Antler Queen will likely be tasked with deciding Coach Scott's true fate, giving Natalie an even more difficult job after the trial. It's possible the survivors keep Coach Scott around as a prisoner, giving him jobs to do around the camp. However, someone would always need to be watching him, since there's a lack of trust from most of the group. His presence also means another mouth to feed, and food is already hard enough to come by. Of course, Ben might try to negotiate his sentence with the survival supplies he found in the pit. There's also a chance that the others will push Natalie to consider a death sentence for Coach Scott, especially since Yellow Jackets already confirmed the group's willingness to sacrifice fellow survivors. Coach Scott's death in Yellow Jackets 90's timeline seems more probable as time has gone on. For one, Ben hasn't been seen or mentioned in the show's other timeline, so there's no indication his character makes it out of the wilderness alive. It's always possible that Ben's survival will be revealed as some sort of shocking twist in Yellow Jackets, but that seems very unlikely based on the fact that he becomes a prisoner. The character being considered guilty, at least in the eyes of the majority, also means a dark Yellow Jackets theory involving Coach Scott remains plausible. The theory suggests that the young survivors will end up eating Coach Scott alive in Yellow Jackets Season 3 at some point in the 90s timeline. With cannibalism lingering as a possible option for the group if necessary, it would be ironic for the group to feast on Coach Scott after you left them behind in response to their openness to eating human flesh. Eating someone like Ben, who previously served as a protector and authority figure before and after the plane crash, would reiterate how the survivors have lost their humanity the longer they've been stuck in the wilderness. As Yellow Jackets prepares for its highly anticipated third season, fans are buzzing about the chilling implications of the wilderness trial teased by the show's creators. This haunting event, set to test the survivors' loyalty and morality, may hold the key to one of the darkest fan theories surrounding Coach Ben Scott. From the start, Coach Ben has been a fascinating anomaly among the stranded Yellow Jackets. As the only adult survivor of the plane crash, he quickly became an authority figure, albeit a weakened one due to his injury. His missing leg physically limited him, but it also metaphorically set him apart from the girls, who were slowly descending into savagery. While they hunted, schemed, and fought to survive, Ben's reluctance to participate in their cannibalistic rituals marked him as an outsider. Yet the wilderness is not kind to outsiders, and Yellow Jackets has continuously hinted that those who resist its dark influence don't fare well. Season 2 ended with Coach Ben making a desperate, if somewhat naive, attempt at escape. After witnessing the brutal death of Javi, he seemed to make a choice: to sever ties with the increasingly unhinged Yellow Jackets and retreat into isolation. The last we saw of him, he had taken refuge in the hidden underground shelter Javi had been using. But the wilderness does not allow anyone to truly escape its grasp. The looming wilderness trial is rumored to be a twisted form of justice imposed by the remaining girls, and it may determine whether someone is worthy of survival. Given Ben's distance from the group and his opposition to their violent rituals, he is a prime candidate for such a trial. However, there's another layer to this: the persistent and unsettling fan theory that Coach Ben himself may not be as innocent as he appears. The theory suggests that Ben, despite being physically weaker, may have his own dark secrets. Some fans have speculated that his aversion to cannibalism is not solely due to morality, but because he knows what it means to be prey. Could he have played a part in Javi's disappearance? Did he let the boy fend for himself in the wilderness, knowing full well he wouldn't survive? Or, more disturbingly, did he take food from Javi while he was hiding, slowly ensuring his own survival at the boy's expense? Season 3's trial could be a reckoning for Ben, forcing him to confess or defend himself against these accusations. The Yellow Jackets, driven by hunger and paranoia, may decide that his attempts at distancing himself make him guilty. In their eyes, true survival means complete submission to the wilderness. If Ben has been hoarding resources, sabotaging them, or even engaging in his own quiet forms of manipulation, they will demand justice. What makes this theory so compelling is that Yellow Jackets has never been a show of pure heroes and villains. Every character has shades of darkness, and Ben's arc could be one of the most tragic. Unlike the girls, he never had the same level of indoctrination into the cult-like belief in the wilderness's power. His refusal to participate in the group's descent into brutality has painted him as a doomed figure. Yet, if the theory is correct, he may not just be a passive victim. He could be a survivor in his own right, making choices just as cruel as those around him, only in quieter ways. If the wilderness trial forces each survivor to atone for their sins, Ben may finally be forced to reveal his. Will he admit to his failures? Will he fight back against the accusations? Or will he suffer the same fate as those who resisted before him? One thing is clear: Season 3 is setting up an explosive confrontation between the survivors and their own morality. The wilderness has never been forgiving, and neither are the Yellow Jackets.